what's right and what's wrong, what's said and what's not being said. That's all that was what was going down.
And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie?
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Greenleaf. This is season 2, episode 12. Like I said, there was a whole lot that was going on and a lot that was not being said. We start right off with Basie actually giving a sermon, and it was kind of funny because I was listening to him and I knew what he was talking about, just as I think everybody else did. They kind of knew what he was talking about, but they weren't. He wasn't so clear at first. He was going on and they was, yes, Lord. Oh, yes. Amen. Oh, yes. Say it, Pastor. This, that, and the other. And then when he opened his mouth and said, he was talking about sins and all of this and how one is no greater than the other and this, that, and the other. And he went on and then he ran it into, and it's time for the church to open their arms and let the homosexual community know that God does love the gays as well. Baby, a hush fell over the room, honey. They were given, honey, who told you to say that? Who told you to say that? And that's kind of where it was, and that's the feeling. So we're still on that little situation. Darius was actually there, Rick Fox. He was there actually taking some notes and everything, and he ended up doing an actual feature with Basie. Then there ended up being some talk at the Greenleaf house once that came out, because that sermon started traveling around. The video for the sermon was going around town. The people were talking. Then also there was the article was going around, and Lady May and Bishop were saying, it sounds like maybe he has talked to Carlton. Like maybe he interviewed Carlton as well whenever he did this interview. Later on, Gigi actually asked him about it. He's like, yes, I did interview Carlton. And she's like, and you didn't ask me, and they ended up clashing. You know what I mean? Her and Darius ended up clashing. And it's like they keep getting into this argument when it comes to this church stuff. And the lines keep getting blurred. Darius got all in his feelings and was ready to let Grace have it. And I said he left. He left from the house, and I thought he was done with her. You know what I mean? And so did she. And he ended up calling her, and she was saying, he told her, at times you're guarded. She said, at times you're guarded. You know what I mean? And you're not telling something. You're holding something. He ended up coming back to the house late that night, and she comes out on the steps, and he ends up explaining to her why he does not go to church. And it kind of sheds some light on everything. He was married, and his wife was actually killed in a car accident on their way to church. And when he went to the pastor, because he was dealing with some grief and questioning God about what that's all about. How could that happen? How could this be? And the answer he got was, we don't question God. So he basically hasn't been back to church, as a guest. It's been all, anytime he steps foot in the church when it has something to do with work, that he just kind of gave up on it. So that's the kind of thing that he was kind of holding back, and it was hindering him and Gigi. They kind of hugged it out, and I think they made it. I think they're okay. I think they're going to be okay. Another, Carissa and Jacob are just not getting along. It's this whole thing, and she's telling him, I don't give a damn what you're saying about none of this stuff. Get a job. I'm tired of trying to carry these bills in this house by myself. This whole thing. I'm just sick of it. I am sick of it. Get a job. And he basically is telling her, you just wait. Things are done in God's time and you just wait. And she's like, baby, I ain't trying to hear that shit. You preach that to the people on Sunday. Get a job. So they got that all going on. Bishop ends up going down to see Basie. And when he walks in, there's like this thug in there. And Basie's actually talking to the thug or whatever. And that's where we're seeing that Basie actually still owes them I think it's like $250,000 he still owes and all of that. And there's just like an issue. Okay, there's an issue there. So he played it off, and then he continues talking to the bishop. The bishop basically tells him, stay away from my family. Stay away from my family, period. You already tried to play a little game with Jacob. Now you try to play the game with Gigi, and I will not let her go so easily. You stay away from my family. That's what he told him. That you said something about the judgment was coming. You're right. The judgment is coming, but it's coming for you. I said, oh, all right. And he walked out. He was so proud of himself. He tried to go tell May about it. And in the midst of him trying to tell May about it, old girl Rochelle ended up calling. May was like, child, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. She went on about her business. It's just a mess. Later on, Rochelle actually came on over and basically told him she's listened to his little story and she's flirting with him, and then told him she's going to join at the church. I said, oh boy, here we go. She's going to join in Calvary. So that's a whole big mess. In the midst of that, there was a meeting with May and Jacinta. And Jacinta slipped up and told May some stuff, baby, and spilled the tea that there was something that actually went on at Rochelle's previous church, something that went on with her and a man. She didn't give all the details, but she gave enough that May knew, oh, this is a tramp. This is a tramp like I thought it was a tramp, and she'd have been ran out of her other church because she's in there messing with somebody's man. And Jacinta told her, she said, please don't say anything. She doesn't know that I know. May's like, oh, I won't say anything. I said, a mess. Isaiah got busted in Zora's room by Jacob, baby, and Jacob got to scaring him to death and talking to him and told him, you know the rules, and don't you come back in here no more. If you can't follow the rules, don't come back. And I laughed, and that Isaiah, he really thinks his behind weighs a ton, honey. He was being real shady to Zora after that. And I said, girl, I don't know what it is, but he has her wrapped around his little finger. A mess. A hot mess. He gonna mess around and get her a behind whooping. Gigi was actually going through some old files of Kevin's, and she came across all the information about the little group that he was going with the ipecac syrup and all that mess. She went to Bishop about it, and her and Bishop got into this big old blowout, honey, and she's telling him, why can't we just do the right thing? Look at this. Look at what Kevin was going through. Kevin was sitting here and didn't even feel comfortable to talk to you or anybody here about what the struggles that he was going through. He was trying to correct this. He found no refuge in the church that he was a part of. Not only was he just a part of, he was a part of the family. And he wasn't even comfortable here. We need to change this narrative. This does not work. And Bishop is giving, well, we don't need to be touching on that. We just need to let God handle it. He was blowing her off. And baby Gigi was going at him, and she was like, that's a mess. I don't want to hear that mess. I don't want to hear that. When are we ever going to take a stand on something and try to change some things? Why do we have to just let it go? And people are getting hurt, and people are not getting what they need, honey. And the bishop was giving her, because I don't know if it's right. I don't know. I was like, Again, the gay situation, The church is just not trying to deal with it. They ain't interested in fixing it. They ain't interested in dealing with it. And it just is what it is. And it is frustrating. And Gigi was like so frustrated with that. She went on out of there. Honey Bishop tried to smooth it over where she was like, bullshit. Went on about her business. Charity is trying to get her little thing going with Jabari, and Jabari's blowing her off. She went out to dinner with him, honey, and he gave her okay. He got she would I believe she's ready to let him hit, baby, if he wanted to. He gave her drop me off at my hotel and get on the way from me. Then he gave her some equipment so she ain't got to come to Nashville to actually work on songs. She could work on them from there. And she's just giving like, well, wait a minute, why am I being blown off? Girl, he didn't like that Kiss album, guess. Maybe he needs some Ipecac syrup too. So that little thing was going on. Lastly, Bishop and May went over to Jacob's house because they wanted to try to get the rest of that information because something ain't right. Something ain't right about this whole thing with Jacob and Carissa having the house in the church and, or the land where the church goes and all of that. So they said they're going to go on over there and try to pull it out of him. Couldn't get anything out of Jacob. And you could tell Carissa basically did want to talk about it, honey. Once the big blow up happened, Carissa took her behind right on over there to her in-laws and spilled all the beans, baby, and told them, the pastor said, do you have proof of that Basie Oswald? She says, I don't have the proof, but I know someone who does. And then they told her, that's okay. You just give us the information and we'll take care of the rest. And basically, and Carissa was like, please don't tell Jacob because you'll never forgive me. This, that, the other. She's sick of it, honey. She went there for money to try to get that house fixed because she's like, she just is sick of the whole thing. So she done spilled the tea. So that's it. And that's basically all that kind of went on this episode. Wasn't a whole lot, but it was the stuff that did go on was important things we needed to know. Next week it's going to spice up. So I'll see you guys here next Wednesday. All right, later.